What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Joined alongside Emilio in Tennessee. We got Tim at an undisclosed location right now. Tim, good to have you back, brother. How you doing?
Man, good to be back, dude. This is good. I'm glad I could hop on tonight. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great.
Missed you, Tim.
I've been trying to keep
Missed you too. I missed you too, guys. Bro hug.
I've been trying to keep these two under control, Tim. It is impossible.
Come on, I was the only one.
Well, let me just take this time. Let me just take a second and say hi, Jacob.
Yeah,
Say
everybody
hi,
has
Jacob.
commented on the wave at the end. So yeah,
Oh, you gotta love
obviously
it.
we're back to not talk a little bit of Packers. We're going to break down the Week 18 game there between the Packers and the Bears. And when I say breakdown, we're going to go back through the highlights and just kind of get a refresher of how the season ended. Obviously, we'll do that game. We'll do the Cowboys game next, and then we will jump into the 49ers game. And I'm telling you, by the time we do that, that's 3 days worth of content. Camp's going to be here basically. So really excited about that. Now, we're also going to dive into a little article, the 2022 NFL redraft, which I thought was very interesting. We talked about it a little bit about Zach Tom being redrafted much higher than the fourth round. We kind of highlighted him one episode. We're going to go one pick deeper where Christian Watson pops up on this list too. And we'll go through the entire first round of the redraft because I think it's important to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of how these drafts actually fall. And you'll notice some of these names is like, yeah, okay, we knew they were going to be good. And then you go, who's that guy? Where did he come from? Right. So it's just important to I think now is the time of the year to do that type of exercise too and just kind of relive that as well. So we'll start off with that to give all you guys and gals here on YouTube a little bit of content before we break off onto X and Rumble and do the Bears game breakdown. And if you guys want to join us on that stream, obviously you can do so by just searching Packer Fan Total Access or Packers Total Access on whichever platform you prefer. But before we get into that, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors tonight, and that's the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access, Wisconsin-based since 1992, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source, with offices next to Lambeau Field and in Milwaukee. Just click on the link in the video description, and it'll send you to theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer and go ahead and start shopping for your Packers tickets. Again, that is Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Go check out their entire inventory over at theticketking.com. We appreciate them sponsoring the show. So let's dive into this article here, man. I love this type of stuff personally. I think it's awesome. And you guys keep an eye on the chat if you want to there, Emilio, if you got something, mark it. And we'll kind of get back to it. I want to hear what everybody else has got to say as well. I know Blake B already said I'll definitely hop over to Rumble once we get to the highlights. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. That's what we're looking for. So, all right, this was a 33rd team article written by Ian Valentino. Might be one of the coolest names over at the 33rd team. Valentino. What is it? What do you think of when you hear the name Valentino, Emilio? I can't figure out if I'm thinking mobster or what here.
Yeah, I would go with mobster. Anything ending in a vowel has got to be Italian or close to it.
Yeah, close enough, right?
Yeah.
You could say that. You got Italian in you. I don't. I'm not allowed to say that. All right, so that's the way that works. But so the 2022 NFL redraft, who would every team take 2 years later? So this is a pretty good sample size, Tim. You know, how many times do we say it after the draft? Well, you got to give them a year or two, right, to see what you've actually got. Sometimes we get impatient as fans, but let's just kind of walk through it here. The number one pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars would or should take Sauce Gardner, cornerback out of Cincinnati. Obviously, we've been talking about the Jeff Hafley defense and what it may or may not look like and comparing it to maybe a Robert Saleh approach. And obviously, Sauce Gardner is the player that kind of stirs the drink there in the secondary. With Sauce Gardner locking down one side of the field in that primary zone, coverage defense, it allows you to do a lot of really creative things. You can just kind of put him on an island out there on one side and allow him to play the play as it unfolds, rather than here's your specific assignment. Do what we tell you to do. So I think that's an interesting pick. Number 2, the Detroit Lions still take Aiden Hutchinson, and I agree with that. I think Aiden Hutchinson's a pretty dominant player. You guys cut me off if you got anything you want to add to this. All right, but when you get to pick number 3, holy cow. This one is absolutely wild. And I agree with it, by the way. Houston Texans draft Brock Purdy, quarterback out of Iowa State. That dude,
no, come
Mr.
on now.
Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant. If you look at every single analytic from last year, that dude's a top 3 quarterback. I hate the Niners more than anyone, but I've got to tip my cap. As Pedro Martinez said, tip my cap and call the Niners my daddy. You know, remember when he said that about the Yankees? The good old days right there, back when baseball was fun. So you disagree with this, Tim, right?
I mean, think about it. Like we didn't know who Brock Purdy was until he got to the NFL, right? So
Right.
if we're doing a redraft, you don't get those seasons of seeing him come out there and do it at the highest level. So, you know, I'm not sure if maybe he was probably slept on a bit during the draft. But I think the Texans are pretty good at quarterback right now with CJ Stroud. So
That's what the article says. The Houston Texans are obviously happy with CJ Stroud now, but they didn't know he was coming in 2022. They selected Derek Stingley Jr., who rebounded after an awful rookie season with 5 interceptions in 2023, but still isn't close to being worth this pick. He also missed 14 games through 2 seasons. Instead,
so the real question is if Houston did take Brock Purdy, let's just say they took him, they're obviously not taking CJ Stroud.
Right. And according to the statistics, Brock Purdy outperformed CJ Stroud last year, albeit CJ Stroud's rookie year, though, right? CJ Stroud may come out in year 2 and just be, woo, you know what I'm saying?
I just don't know how Brock Purdy would have done on the Texans 2 years ago.
Tell me what you mean by that, too, because there's
I think the team has changed a lot in this past year compared to 2 years ago. So I think that it would have been he wouldn't have had all of the tools he has around him right now. He has got top of the line Milwaukee Fuels running around M18, M12. So we got them all. The thing he would have had I don't know, rigid Ryobi over there at Houston coming out. So I don't know. Yeah. It would have been different for sure.
And it comes down to scheme too, right? And again, if you take him in 20, this is what the 2022 draft, right? If you take him then, obviously their head coach was not there yet, right? And I don't know why his name is evading me right now. The former defense, DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah.
So he wasn't the head coach that year, right? So you probably don't get that same amount of performance. But I think what this whole article is saying is, you know, if the players played like they did, you know, universally across the board, no matter what the coaching, no matter what the supporting cast, this is how you would redraft it. But yeah, that's a great point. You make a great point that the 49ers are loaded. And, you know, I know if you're a 49ers fan listening, you shouldn't be. If you are, just turn this off. We don't want you in here, okay? But no offense, but get out of here. You don't want to be here, leave. But they you know, I don't know, when you kind of look at how that all unfolds with Brock Purdy, they don't want to know what it's like with a bad supporting cast, right? I imagine that's how 49ers fans look at it. So number 4, the New York Jets with another pick. They would take Trent McDuffie. With their 4th pick that they took Sauce Gardner with, they would take Trent McDuffie, cornerback out of Washington. So when you're looking at this from the top here, from the top to the bottom, it just shows you, man, the cornerbacks were stout in the first round of that draft. Sauce Gardner, and then with the number 4 pick, it should have been Trent McDuffie, cornerback, out of Washington, which I think, if I remember correctly, he plays for the Chiefs. So just an absolute stud there. New York Giants at number 5 would stick with Kayvon Thibodeaux, edge defender from Oregon. Number 6, Carolina Panthers would take Tyler Smith, offensive lineman from Tulsa. Number 7, the Giants would take Charles Cross, offensive tackle from Mississippi State, which I think that's who they took. No, original pick was Evan Neal. There you go. Number 8, Atlanta Falcons would take Kyle Hamilton. So he climbs up from, I think, what was it, 11th or 12th, where Baltimore took him. They're saying that he was worthy of being a top 10 pick, obviously, out of Notre Dame. Number 9, you got the Seattle Seahawks and Reek Woolen, cornerback out of UTSA. Number 10, you got the Jets taking Garrett Wilson, which that was the original pick, so you're sticking there with Garrett Wilson. I agree with that. Number 11, the New Orleans Saints is Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio State. You're sticking with that pick. Number 12, the Detroit Lions would take George Pickens, wide receiver out of Georgia. Obviously, we've had a lot of conversation about him and how he was a borderline first-round talent, and obviously they agree here with 33rd team saying the Lions should have took him with the number 12 pick. Number 13, you got the Eagles taking Deron Bland, cornerback out of Fresno State. Man, there are cornerbacks everywhere.
Flying off the boards.
That is crazy, crazy. Number 14, you got the Baltimore Ravens taking Drake London. Obviously, he was originally drafted by the Falcons, and in this redraft here, Kyle Hamilton went with the number 8 pick, so they would instead take Drake London, wide receiver out of USC. Number 15, you got the Houston Texans taking Breece Hall, running back out of Iowa State. Obviously, he ended up going to the Jets, I believe. Number 16, the Washington Commanders would take Martin Emerson, cornerback, Mississippi State. The original pick was Jahan Dotson, wide receiver out of Penn State. Number 17, the LA Chargers take Zion Johnson, guard out of Boston College. Number 18, the Tennessee Titans take Trayvon Walker, edge defender out of Georgia. And then number 19, the New Orleans Saints would take offensive tackle Zach Tom out of Wake Forest. So what's wild about this, Zach Tom was originally, the Packers got him at the 140th pick. As the meme says, Tim, someone cooked here, right? Goody cooked here. The 140th pick, and after you redraft 2 years later, you're saying he's worthy of the 19th pick. That's wild, man.
Yeah, man. Zach Tom's the real deal. One of the most versatile O-linemen in the NFL, actually, at this point. I honestly believe that. He's a plug-and-play guy, but obviously feels really comfortable at that right tackle spot. I like him at that right tackle spot. It doesn't surprise me at all that he'd be a top 20 pick on a redraft.
Yeah. What do you think, Emilio? How do you feel about Zach Tom there at number 19? I mean, I'm trying to think of what tackle that would make him out of that draft. Let's just scroll up real quick. Give me your thoughts on it. I'm going to count it off here.
Yeah, I think we've been blessed having Zach Tom because he is such a steal. Or Green Bay knew exactly what they're doing and were researching him like crazy. Knew everyone was going to sleep on him because this, that, or the other. And I think that it's big that we also have, an offensive coordinator that came from teaching the offensive line. I think that is slept on. Like how good have our lines played in the previous years when he was just the offensive line coach and then still stepping up and having that. I think that our identity needs to be, and I think that's what they're pushing for is for trenches inside and out. We've just gotten lucky with all of the skilled players that we've found in different levels of the draft. But I think that we still want to build inside out identity-wise because our team itself needs an identity. And I think that it starts with players like Zach Tom.
Yeah, and if I'm looking at it correctly, they're saying that he would have been the 4th best offensive lineman in this entire draft, the 2nd best offensive tackle, which is just absolutely wild. If you guys and gals would take just a second, if you like this kind of content, hit that like button for us. Feel free to share, subscribe to the channel. If you don't like it, just pretend like we never crossed paths, and y'all have a wonderful evening. But we appreciate y'all doing that. Just taking a quick second, you'd be surprised how much it does help the stream just by hitting that like button. So number 20, back-to-back picks. Check this out. Christian Watson, wide receiver, North Dakota State. So it says the original pick was Kenny Pickett, obviously quarterback out of Pitt. He is now in Philly, I believe. He went somewhere. He's a backup somewhere now. So it says everyone knew this quarterback class stunk. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to swing on a risky first-round addition, Kenny Pickett made little sense due to his lack of physical traits. The class doesn't have a good alternative with Purdy long gone, so Pittsburgh cuts the cord even earlier on Chase Claypool and adds the raw but naturally gifted Christian Watson. So the fact that they're saying Christian Watson was a top 20 pick in this entire draft, I ain't going to lie, man. I love Christian Watson. That surprises me a bit, but I'll take it. That's absolutely. I mean, that is wild. What do you think about that, Tim? Do you agree with it? Him being the 20th overall? And I'm going to scroll up and see how many receivers have been taken.
I see that. I mean, call me a homer all you want, but I've always been a big fan of Scoot. I think really the injury issues have plagued him early in his career, and it's just unfortunate. It's not an indictment on him at all. If anything, he should be praised. I see him doing every single thing necessary to stay on the football field. And I think his toughness is underrated. I'm really sick of hearing him called glass by certain fans. It's annoying at this point.
Certain overweight, soft fans.
Yeah, no, and nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, I've seen Scoot take some shots and get right up and right back into the play. He's also a guy that, for the speed and quickness that he's known for, he's not afraid to lower that shoulder either. and take you down, another 2 or 3 yards at the end of the play, extending plays. So I think his toughness is definitely slept on. The injury bug got him, but his talent level is there. A lot of different squads. I mean, he's a bona fide number one. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Amelia?
Tim hit it on the head there. The dude is willing to do everything. He can block. We know that for a fact. He can go up and catch the ball. He'll go across the middle. He will clear out. He'll run the dry routes just so that everybody else can get open underneath. So he's a team player. He works hard. He's an athlete. I mean, could you imagine if anybody listening had that amount of speed? I'm going to be like, it's world class, right? So him being successful is going to be huge. I think that Prince / Angus said the same thing here. Healthy Watson in a groove is our best weapon.
Absolutely.
I really think that because everybody else has those, all-star players, all-star weapons. Why can't we have a couple? Why can't they actually, have a name attached to them rather than the receiving core or their backfield? Like, it's like we don't even have, name brand players here, they think. But
yeah,
this receiving is tough.
That was the perfect combination. He can block. This receiving stuff. Absolutely love it.
You think God never farted?
So number 22 on the list for the Green Bay Packers with their redraft. The original pick was Quay Walker, a linebacker from Georgia. Tim's about to throw the laptop across the room. They're saying he would have been better off taking Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia, his teammate, obviously. Jordan Davis was the guy that is just a massive human being and absolutely lit the combine up. He kind of helped rejuvenate that defensive front for the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously. It says another pick where the team would love a mulligan. The Green Bay Packers could avoid a mistake and improve upon their first-round selection. Here, Jordan Davis was long gone, but neither Quay Walker nor Devontae Wyatt has made impactful plays thus far. Most of Walker's stats are the definition of empty calories, so an athletic, enormous nose tackle would have been far more helpful. And obviously, like they said,
how dare you?
Jordan Davis was long gone, but in this case, he would have been on the board. They're saying, yeah, take him over Quay. I think I agree with that, but you guys know how I am, man. Defensive front, whether it's a defensive line or the edge position, I consider both of those tier one of importance, and I don't consider linebacker quite that high. But anything you guys want to add to that before we close out this segment and get into the Bears game?
Yeah, Quay's going to get better with age. He's like a fine wine, right? He's gonna age well in the NFL. He's built physically for this game. I believe he's got no ceiling at all. And let's just see year 3 here, boys and girls, and then we can talk about Quay Walker. I want to see him in this Jeff Hafley defense getting after it. I think he's going to make strides here in year 3 for sure.
Yeah. We're trying to shake the dude before he even gets his first contract. Like let him play. I mean,
Yep.
Give him a second. That's why we drafted him. All right.
Yeah, and when you drafted him, you didn't draft him going, this dude's ready to play. You drafted him going, he has got crazy upside. He's just raw. It's raw talent, right?
Yeah.
So
and look who they put around him too. I mean, this linebacker room I feel really good about our linebackers. I know there's some analysts out there that see it the other way. There's obviously holes in any offense or defense in the NFL, but I'm feeling good about the way this defense is shaping up right now.
I'm just going to one full off season. And he had his rookie off season, one full one. Now, let's get this one rolling and let's see how he does.
Yeah. And even with that, man, having to learn a new defense is like,
right.
You almost want to give him another mulligan. I know people are going to hate me for saying that, but it's true. You do have to take that into consideration that here comes a whole different defense he's trying to learn, right? I'm just going to glance through these real quick. I may not read them all, but I just want to make sure we're not overlooking any Packers. So Derek Stingley, obviously a cornerback to Buffalo. There's a center, Tyler Lindenbaum to the Cowboys. Kenneth Walker, running back. Petrie, Devin Lloyd. There's a linebacker, Devin Lloyd, out of Utah going to Jacksonville. Luke Gadecki. Yeah, I think we're good. I just want to make sure there was no other Packers taken. I didn't think there were. So that's how the redraft kind of hit. I thought that was interesting. It's kind of cool to go. And again, understand, this is just Valentino's opinion. You know what I'm saying? This isn't necessarily the gospel here. This is one man's opinion, and I just like kind of getting everyone else's take.
Because I pulled up just for fun, I pulled up a 2020 redraft. Dude wrote it 12, 21, 23. Dan Pizzuta.
Mm-hmm.
He had Jordan Love.
Who?
Yeah, he had our man Jordan Love drafted 7th to the Carolina Panthers.
For real. Worthy of the 7th pick? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Ooh.
That was December. That was before we cooked in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Before they cut up the Cowboys, right? So that's very interesting, man. Goody been hitting on these drafts here lately, boys. And I know the Jordan Love draft, that might be the only pick he hit on that year is kind of what it feels like. But when you hit on quarterback, hey, A+ on the draft class, because that's the
exactly
most important one, especially when you trade up to get them. So,
and they had us taking Jonathan Taylor. That would have made everybody happy.
Oh gosh, could you imagine Wisconsin running back? People would have lost their minds, no doubt. All right, guys, everybody on YouTube, we're going to go ahead and end this stream now. If you want to continue with us, we're going to stay live on X. We're going to stay live on Rumble. And the reason being is we want to honor YouTube's rules and everything on I'll be honest, we don't know what the hell the rules are, but we got to be real careful at what we share here on the channel. So we want to stay in good standing there. But if you guys want to hang out with us, like I said, just go Packers Total Access on Twitter, on X, or on Rumble. We're going to stay live here. So we will see you all tomorrow night on YouTube. Y'all have a wonderful evening there. Emilio, if you'll just confirm that it did end when it does end, it should.